Let me tell you about a wedding that turned into a nightmare, a tragedy that broke the hearts of an entire nation. It happened in Amman, Jordan in 2005. That day, a family was preparing to celebrate the happiest occasion, a wedding. The bride, Nadia Al-Alami, and her groom, Ashraf Daas, were excited, and so were their families and friends. The women were getting glammed up, the men were dressed in suits, and the kids were running around, joyful and full of energy. Everyone was ready for an unforgettable night at the Radisson SS Hotel, one of the most luxurious venues in Amman. Originally, the wedding was planned for Ramadan, but the families postponed it until after Eid al-Fitr, setting the date for Wednesday, November 9th, 2005, not knowing they had chosen the same date that others had chosen for destruction. As the celebration began, music played, people danced the Jordanian dabke, and the atmosphere was full of life and happiness. At 9:30 p.m., the bride and groom walked toward the entrance as rose petals were thrown at them. Then, out of nowhere, a deafening explosion. Two suicide bombers had entered the wedding disguised as guests and detonated their vests among the crowd. Ashraf, the groom, later said the last thing he heard was the singer thanking the guests before everything turned black. The ceiling collapsed. Screams, smoke, dust, blood. The bride's white dress turned black, soaked in blood. The groom's suit was torn. Chaos. Bodies on the floor. Everyone thought it might be a gas leak or a plane crash, but it wasn't. It was an act of terror. 26 people were killed, mostly from the bride and groom's families. Among them were the bride's father and other loved ones. Dozens more were injured. One of the musicians later recalled seeing a suspicious couple, a man and a well-dressed woman standing off to the side, looking tense and out of place. Seconds after he looked away, boom. The explosion tore through the hall. Women, children, men, all victims. But this wasn't the only attack that night. Minutes later, another explosion hit the Hyatt Amman Hotel, where a medical conference was taking place. An Iraqi doctor attending the event said he saw people blown to pieces before the lights went out. Then, a third explosion hit the Days Inn Hotel. 3 hotels, 3 suicide bombings nearly simultaneously. Jordan was thrown into a state of emergency. Sirens filled the streets. Roads were closed. The police and army flooded the areas. In total, over 60 people were killed and more than 300 injured. The attacks were quickly revealed to be coordinated terrorist bombings by al-Qaeda in Iraq, led by Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, a Jordanian who had his citizenship revoked. He had turned against his homeland, orchestrating this massacre to punish the country. Of the 4 suicide bombers, 3 died but 1 survived, a woman named Sajida al-Rishawi, wife of one of the bombers. Her explosive vest had malfunctioned. She panicked and fled with the crowd, hiding at her sister's house in the nearby city of Salt. Authorities eventually found her after her brother-in-law discovered the explosive belt under the bed and reported it. Sajida later appeared on national TV confessing her involvement. She claimed she was forced into it by her husband, but the court didn't buy it. In 2006, she was sentenced to death, though the execution was delayed for years. That changed in 2015, after ISIS executed Jordanian pilot Muath al-Qasasbeh by burning him alive. The next day, Jordan executed Sajida in retaliation. As for Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, he was killed in 2006 in a U.S. airstrike in Iraq. One of the most painful losses in the hotel bombings was that of Mustafa al-Aqad, the legendary Syrian-American film director behind The Message and Omar Mukhtar. He was waiting in the hotel lobby for his daughter when the bomb went off. She died instantly. He died 2 days later from his injuries. Jordan stood united in the aftermath. The people protested against terrorism. The government cracked down on extremist groups. And to this day, Jordanians remember that horrific night as Black Wednesday,